This is the desert. So many wonderful and important things happen in the desert, we need to know what it's like. We can't get the whole desert here, so this is just a little piece of the desert. The desert is a dangerous place. It's always moving, so it's hard to know where you are. There is little water, so you get thirsty and you can die if no water is found. Almost nothing grows there, so there is almost nothing to eat. In the daytime it is hot and the sun scorches your skin. In the night it is cold. When the wind blows, the sand stings where it hits you. People wear many clothes to protect them from the sun and blowing sand. The desert is a dangerous place. People do not go into the desert unless they have to. When the flood was over, the creatures went out in all the four directions of the earth to fill it up with life again. They often gathered along the rivers. The people lived in small villages and then cities. One of the most ancient and greatest of these cities was called Ur. In the city of Ur, the people believed that there were many gods. There was a god for every tree, every rock, every flower. There was a god of the sky, the clouds, the water and the land. The world was alive with gods. But there was one family that believed that all of God was in every place. They did not yet know that, but that is what they thought. Abram and Sarai were part of that family. When it came time to move to a new place, they were not sure that God would be there, so they wondered what the new place would be like. They walked towards Haran with their sheep and their donkeys. Even the old people and all the children went too. They slept in their tents at night, and during the day they walked along the great river called the Euphrates. It showed them the way and gave them and all their animals water to drink. It took a long, long time. Finally, they met people coming out from Haran. They knew the journey was almost over. Then they were there. Sometimes Abram would go out to the edge of the desert and look out across the sand and into the sky. Then God came so close to Abram, and Abram came so close to God, that he knew what God wanted him to do. God wanted Abram and Sarai to move on again to another new place. Abram and Sarai did what God said. They went into the desert to the west of Haran and walked towards Canaan. They went with all their sheep, their tents, and many helpers. Abram's brother's son Lot also went with them. This time there was no river to show the way or to give them water to drink. They finally came to a place called Shechem. Abram climbed up a hill and prayed to God, and God was there. So Abram built an altar to mark the place. Then they went on. Next they came to a place called Bethel. Abram prayed again, and God was there also. Abram built an altar to mark this place too. God was not just here or there. All of God was everywhere. Then they went on to Hebron to make their home near the trees of Mamre. One night God brought Abram outside. He looked up into the sky. God came so close to Abram, and Abram came so close to God, that Abram knew what God was saying. You will become the father of a great family, and Sarai will be the mother. The members of the great family will be as many as there are stars in the sky and grains of sand in the desert. Abram laughed. He and Sarai were very old. God's promise sounded impossible. But God said to change their names anyway. Abram was to be Abraham, and Sarai was to be called Sarah. One day, 3 strangers came out of the desert. Abraham was sitting by his tent. He invited them in, and Sarah mixed 3 measures of flour, which is a lot. She gave them bread and meat to eat, and milk and water to drink, as was the custom. They told Abraham that he and Sarah would have a son, and Abraham laughed. Sarah was there also, and she heard them, and she laughed too. They were too old. The 3 strangers went on their way. Do you know what happened? Abraham and Sarah had a son. They laughed again, so they named the baby Laughter. In their language, the word for laughter is Isaac. When the boy was grown, old Sarah died. She was buried in the caves near the oaks of Mamre. Abraham was lonely. He missed Sarah very much, but he had one more thing he had to do. He sent his most trusted helper back to the land of his people to find a wife for Isaac. Abraham's helper stopped by a well in the evening. Rebekah offered to give him some water to drink. She then helped him give water to his animals. She was as full of courage as she was kind. Rebekah then invited him home. He told her family about Abraham and Sarah and the great family. Rebekah decided she would like to be part of that great family. So they went across a desert and then past Shechem and Bethel towards Hebron. Isaac saw them coming and came out to meet them. Then Isaac and Rebekah were married. Old Abraham was now very old and full of years. He died and was buried with Sarah in the cave by the trees. Then Isaac and Rebekah had children, and their children had children, and those children had children. This went on for thousands and thousands of years until your grandmothers and grandfathers had children, then your mother and father had a child. Now you are part of that great family which has become as many as the stars in the sky and the grains of sand in the desert. Now I wonder what part of this story you like best. I wonder what part is the most important. I wonder where you are in the story or what part of the story is about you. I wonder if there's any part of the story we can leave out and still have all the story we need. Now, I wonder what you're going to do.